Hey family! So my baby girl is officially here and she's actually 1 month old as of today. So I thought it would be fitting to share her birth story. So yeah, funny story. I actually went into labor, the early stages of labor at the movies. My husband and I went to go see Get Out, and so good, but like midway through the movie I started having contractions and I was like, okay, that's pretty intense, you know, cool. And then there was another one. I was like, so I had an app on my phone, the full term app on my phone, so I timed the contractions and they like kept coming like back to back, lasting for like 30 to 45 seconds. They were like 3 minutes apart, and I was like, I showed my husband and he's in the chair and he's like, is it time? And I'm like, no. Like, I knew they weren't that strong, but it was like so close together. Like, I actually started crying in the movie. Like, I had to get up and, you know, walk out because it was just, they were just really intense. But I didn't have her in the movie theater. I went back and finished watching the movie. Then we went out to dinner. The contractions had stopped, so I went home and I started to package some orders that I had from that week in my product line, right? And my mom and my dad had my son, or had our son, and they brought him home, and they also came here to put up, my daughter's finished putting her name, like I've written her name on the wall, so they came to finish putting that up. And I started having contractions again. This time they were definitely more intense, but they were still like 2-3 minutes apart. So my mom and dad hung around for a little bit, and they were like, well, my dad said she's gonna have this baby in a couple days or whatever. And my mom's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And so I'm like, all right, bye guys. And they're like, bye, see you later. And then I'm like hanging out with my son, and then the contractions, they just got progressively more intense to the point where I'm just like, whoa, like I gotta stop and focus on these contractions. And my husband and I had taken birth classes with our son, so my first pregnancy, and so we have like this sheet that tells you like how you feel, or how I'll act in each stage of labor. And so at that point it was like 8:45 at night, and I was to the point where it was like early first stage labor, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, these are getting so intense. Like, I can't even bathe my son. I can barely finish my dinner, let alone finish these orders. Like, I think it's like about to be go time. So I called my midwives, like, hey, my contractions. Well, actually, let me get into detail. I called my midwives and they put me on hold. And meanwhile, I'm having contractions. And I can't deal with the elevator music. So I call my mom, because she's supposed to be one of my coaches, and I call her like, hey mom, like, can you come over here? Then I have a contraction, and she's like, for what? I'm like, I'm in labor. And I hang up the phone on her, because I'm like, why else would I call you? Like, you saw how I was before you left. Just get over here, right? And so she literally lives like 5 minutes away from me. It took her like 20 minutes to get here. If I tell you I'm in labor, I felt like she should have been right here. So that like irritated me slightly. And then my husband, he had decided literally hours before I went into like this active stage of labor that he wanted to be my primary coach. Okay, like literally that day, hours before. And so he had been studying, like I had a whole packet of stuff that I wanted people to do and my coaches to do, and I had like affirmations. So we'll get to that. So anyway, so he's studying, and so he's trying to put my son to bed, but I'm like, yo, these contractions are intense. Like, I need you with me. He needs to just handle himself. My 2-year-old needs to handle himself. Like, that's the type of thing that go through your mind when you're pregnant or go in labor, right? So then I call his mom, my mother-in-law, and I'm like, I need you to come up here because I'm in labor, and I need you to stay with our son so that my husband can come with me to the hospital. And she lives in Virginia. Like, this was like 45 minutes away. So I know I don't have that kind of time, because by the time the midwives answer the phone, they're like, okay, you need to get to the hospital now because it's your second child. So it's probably not going to last as long as the first labor you had, right? So I'm like scrambling, telling everybody like, okay, they say I have to get to the hospital. I need my aromatherapy. I need my diffuser. I need my music. Like, I was just trying to get things together clearly I wasn't ready because I thought I had some time. So mom gets there, my husband gets his bag together, my sister comes to watch my son, my mom drives me and my husband to the hospital, which is like 30 minutes away. 30 minutes of active labor contractions in the back seat is so not fun. Whew, it's not fun. And I told them in the car, I said, don't take anything that I say personally. I'm in labor. So we get to the hospital, and like that 30-minute drive felt like an eternity. And when we pull up to the hospital, it's like 9 o'clock at night. The main entrance was closed, but that's the only way we know how to get to the hospital, this hospital, because we've only ever been there during the day. So my mom's like, just get out, like somebody will let you in. I get out, and my husband runs up to the security guard, and he's like, my wife's in labor, like she's about to have the baby, can we get in? And the security guard says, oh shit, I'm about to be on TV, get everybody, come on, get everybody, let's go. They like bring a wheelchair over. This security guard, he was clearly drunk or something. He was clearly inebriated, maybe he was off duty, I don't know, but he was so funny. Meanwhile, I'm crying because the contractions are like back to back on top of each other. And so they give me a wheelchair, the slowest like registration ever. They get me to labor and delivery. I get in there, it's probably like 9:30 at this point, and they just put me in this room, and they're like, you know, have at it, right? Which is totally different from my son, because they were like, I was hooked up to every machine, they like wanted to check me, and with my son, when they checked me, it hurt like so bad. It was so much blood, like it was so uncomfortable. And our birth class said that have your cervix checked is not something that's mandatory. So everyone knew I did not want to get checked. So I'm in the room, midwife comes in and was like, well, we need to check and see how dilated you are. I was like, no, can't you just tell from like how I'm acting? I can tell you how I've been timing my contractions. I've been timing my contractions. Can I just do it that way? And they're like, no, we really need to see like how far you are to know like where we need to go and stuff. And I'm just like, no, I don't want you to check me. Like it was just so painful. Like it stopped my labor last time. I don't want it. And she's like, I'll be gentle, I promise. Like I'll just one finger. I just need to see. And so I'm like, if this lady's not gonna get in my face. I'm trying to like get in my zone. So I was like, okay, you better not hurt me. And it was a better not hurt me labor. So by labor tone. And so she checked me, it didn't hurt. She was like, okay, you know, we'll just monitor you, just, you know, keep doing what you're doing. So we try to get the room situated. My husband tells me he left my essential oils at home. I was so mad. My mom, she hung up all my affirmations I had on the walls, and like I was looking at them, kind of just walking around, like getting into my zone. My husband was like massaging my back. It was like really chill, and I just kept having to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom, and the midwife said, she kept asking, like, do you want to get your HIV test or something? And I had coached everybody to say, I don't need this test. So they all were like, she doesn't need it, she already had it, blah, blah, blah. And so then she comes in the bathroom and she's like, I know they say you already need it, but we have to check you. I said, didn't they fucking tell you I already had it? I cussed her out. My mom was like, that lady was so afraid to come back into the room. But that was the midwife on duty, right? I didn't mean it. I'm so sorry. But I was in my zone, and everybody kept telling you I already had this test. So anyway, I keep laboring. It's like it's getting really, really intense, and I'm just getting really tired. Because again, it's like 10 o'clock at night, and I just wanted to go to sleep. Like I just kept laying on stuff. Like I just really wanted to go to sleep, but then the contractions kept coming. So I was leaning on things, and then they were like, we need to monitor you. They monitored me, said she sounds good, so just keep doing what you're doing. So I was like resting on this, I think it was like a chair or something. And I was like, Mom, like if something's coming down. And she's like, okay, well get on the bed. So I get in the bed. I swear, like to me, it felt like seconds after I got on that bed. Something like my daughter, I could just feel her coming down, and like I wanted to stop it because of course there's pressure, but I was like one of my affirmations, it was like just let go, release. And my mom, she kept, well, my mom started reading them, like reading the affirmations verbatim. And I don't know, but to me, to read an affirmation is like you say it with conviction and then you receive it and then you can move on to the next one. My mom's just like, labor's a wonderful thing. You're strong. I was like, shut up, you're not reading it right. My sister, my little sister was in there, and she hadn't been there for my first delivery. So I looked over at one point and she was so, like, she was petrified. Like, I feel like I was like scaring the shit out of her, basically. But anyway, so I get on the bed, I feel something coming down. I just like open myself up to that feeling. It hurt, but it was like I knew she was coming. So I just relaxed. My whole body just relaxed into the contraction. When I say it was like, I thought she was coming like through my cervix. That's how it felt to me. And I hear my mom like, there's a head. Get everybody, tell them the baby's coming. So everybody like runs in the room. I'm on the bed, and then like, it's really, when you're in labor, there's really nothing you can do because the baby's gonna come regardless. So again, opening myself up to that contraction, she just came out. Like, she came through and I was pushing, of course, and screaming. Like, I screamed. Like, I still remember that scream that I had. It was like really loud, piercing screams. But two screams later and a baby was out. And so I pushed her out, and they like, I pushed her out, and the midwife like caught her and then like put her up under me so like I could hold her. And so it was just amazing. Like, I couldn't believe it. Again, I was so tired. I couldn't believe she was actually here, but she was there, and she was in my arms, and she was crying, and she was just perfect and amazing. And then I had to turn around and deliver the placenta. Now that shit hurt. I don't really remember that really with my son, but to delivering my placenta was just, it was painful. But, you know, long story short, it was just a push and bloop, that was out. And yeah, my daughter was here, all natural, 3 hours of active labor later, and I have my second child. So labor was beautiful. Like, I felt so strong and empowered after having her. You know, just really quickly. My son, it was like I was in labor for like 26 hours or something. It was ridiculous. So yeah, that's our birth story, and I was able to actually keep my placenta. I fully intend on encapsulating it as soon as I get the pills for that. But yeah, that's my baby girl.